I'm always looking for a perfect exercise that trains all the attributes of six harmony types of movement all at once. It's still a work in progress. At the moment, my preferred exercise is the pole shaking exercise because it's a bit of a workout and it let me train my middle quite a bit. Um, but I think the pole shaking exercise is a little bit difficult to jump into right away because the pole can be heavy and there's a bit of coordination that you have to learn. And your connection and down chin control have to be good enough so that you don't resort back to local muscular usage, which is just normal movement. The point of the pole shaking exercise is to shake the pole with your middle, not with normal movement. Um, in terms of six harmony movement, I think there's only basically two ways of moving. The body can elastically open and it can elastically close. Um, I think at first you have to do the training, or you have to train empty-handedly, so then you can feel for the elastic connection that go from the fingertip to your middle, from the toe to your middle, all over. Um, Feeling for that connection is good, but I think it's just a first step. You have to develop that connection so that it can be strong enough to be functional for a hit or for low bearing to resist a lock or whatnot. Um, so my suggestion is first to do empty-handed training. And once you feel the connection and you have some level of control over your movement with your middle, then start looking at training with a tool or some light resistance so you can increase the strength of the connection. So if the body can only move in two ways, closing, opening, closing, opening. One good way to train that closing and opening motion with resistance is with suburi, or the stick swinging exercise. And for the basic suburi movement where you swing the stick up and down, that can be done with the opening and closing movement that I just showed earlier. And you can add a pressure post to that to help you release the stick backward and release the stick downward. So if I want to raise the stick to the back, it's a combination of me pushing ground up my back to bring the short up, okay? But it's also, that movement can also be aided by me sending pressure strongly down the front leg so that my back heel slam down, and when the back of my suit or my elastic connection slam down, it pulls the stick backward, okay? And that looks something like this. So my weight is on my front leg. I'm trying to feel for the tip of the stick at my middle. And then when I swing it up, I'm trying to imagine that I'm swinging up against some sort of light resistance. But basically what I do is, my weight is on my front leg. I do a reverse breath inhale. My heel comes slightly up from the floor. And what I do is I do a reverse breath inhale, and then I squeeze down to increase the pressure in the middle and the backside. And so I'm storing backside. And when I squeeze down strong enough, my whole body reaches a point where it just snaps backward. The elastic tension and the pressure just cause my body to snap backward. And that snapping backward is what pulls the stick up. So So now that I'm on my back leg, I can do the same, I apply the same idea to a stick swinging down, is that now my front side is stretched out. And what I do is I do a reverse breath inhale. Then I squeeze pressure down the back leg, and that pressure buildup will cause my body to snap forward and closes, and my middle dropping down. So when my body snaps forward and my middle drops down, it pulls the elastic tension and connection from the arm downward. Okay, so it looks like this. The stick stops because as my body is pulling downward, when it hit the ground, it stopped pulling on the stick. So I think that's a good test to check to see if you're moving by connection or just moving by, local muscles. Okay. So if I were to do a couple of times, it looks something like this. Okay. So that's basically training the opening and closing motion with a tool to increase resistance. And once I have that conditioning and motion and coordination down somewhat, then I can transition over to doing the same thing with a pole, a heavier pole. The idea is the same. If you squint, you can see that I'm kind of doing the same thing as the stick swinging. But what I try to do is keep my arms extended so that I'm not using elbow, wrist, or whatever to contribute to the movement. To slam the pole down, what I do is imagine I'm pressing something down at the tip of the pole so that I have jing there. Then what I do is I push ground at the back and do a reverse breath inhale so my body is slightly pressurized. To release downward, what I do is I scrunch down physically to build up the pressure around the middle area. And when that pressure is great enough, it will cause my body to go forward and slam down. It's the force of my middle slamming down that pulls the pole down, not me shaking my shoulder or elbow or whatnot. Okay. I hope that helps someone who's trying to figure out how to do pole shaking.